How's it going, guys? My name is Davi and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a bit of a break from the Ranger and work on this. My parents' 2004 BMW E46 330i. Now the main complaint at this stage is the fact that the car's air conditioning system is not working so well. And we've had quite a few very hot days here over the last few months. So let's have a look at this thing and let's give it a go. Now the first thing you'll need is a set of aircon manifolds, if you want to call it that, gauge set like this. Now you need to know that there are different types of these gauges. This one specifically is for R22 and R134 refrigerants. Now most of the aircon systems in the cars uses the R134 refrigerant. The newest cars, I've heard that they've changed to a newer type of refrigerant, but for most cars from say 2000 up until very recently is mostly R134. So what I usually do first is to get my gauges set up so it's in a easy to read position where I can see what's going on within this system. On every air conditioning unit you've got what they call the high pressure side and the low pressure side. Your low pressure side will be your blue line and your blue gauge, and the high pressure side will be the red. Now that we've got that connected, we need to find the ports for the high pressure and the low pressure side. Now in this BMW you've got a line here and a line here, and that is where we will be plugging into to see what's going on with the system. So let's get these off so we can get in there. Now to be able to connect to the car's air conditioning system, you'll need an adapter to fit onto this fitting, and that's where these babies come in. They connect to your line, and then that clips onto your connector that's on the car. That's the high pressure one, and that's the low pressure one. Now we need to open these valves to get the gas to flow through to our gauges. Now one of the first things we need to check is that with the engine running, whether the AC compressor on the vehicle works. Now you'll see there the compressor at the moment is not spinning. That is because the AC is not switched on. So as soon as I press the button for the AC, that compressor should go on, and I could hear it kicking in. So you'll see previously where that compressor was not spinning, now it's spinning, so we know the compressor turns. Now we can take it to the next step. Now currently with the aircon running, you can see the temperature coming out of these air vents is 26.1 degrees Celsius. Over there you'll see I've got my probe stuck into the air vent, and 26.1, that's definitely not what you want to see with the AC running. Now looking at these gauges, you can definitely see we've got a problem. There's absolutely no pressure in this system, especially if you look at the low pressure line. It's sitting on 0 kPa there. So this thing's definitely got a leak somewhere. So what I'm going to do in today's episode is get all the spots where the AC pipes connects to anything else, and replace all the O-rings so that we can make sure that the system is nice and sealed. Okay, so how I'm gonna tackle this is start working from with the front to the back, following all the AC lines and take them out, see what the O-rings look like, and then replacing them. So this first one, and be careful with these bolts, guys. If you drop them, you're never seeing them again. That's the first one. Now these things are tight. Let's pull out this first one and see what it looks like. Okay, and this thing is completely flat. It's still quite pliable, but let's replace it. It's not worth the leak and the effort. Let's try and put in there for the second one. Yep, same thing. Alright, now down here just below the headlight we've got the dryer. There's two pipes going into that, so let's take those off as well. Now to get to the dryer we'll have to remove this headlight because the dryer is directly underneath it. To remove these top bolts you'll need an 8mm. Now we have to remove the indicator. After that, we remove this little cover at the bottom of the headlight. Just be careful not to break those clips. And there you go, one headlight removed. Let's just unplug everything and then we can carry on. Now right here you can see the dryer. Okay, let's pull out this one. Yeah, this one is quite hard. Okay, and then this one. Okay, so let's replace these O-rings. First, with the pick, get the old O-ring on there and just pull it off like that. Now let's see if we've got a replacement one that's the same size. That one's a bit bigger. That one's too small. This one looks like the right size. So let's get that on there. Let's take this one off. And get that on there. Okay, let me quickly take the one that's still attached to the car and get that off as well. That one's too small. That's the one. Okay, now before putting all of this back together, we'll just spray these O-rings with a little bit of silicone spray to help it to go back in without pinching and not going into the hole properly. So let's get that attached. Be careful not to cross thread these bolts because it all goes into aluminium parts here, and if you cross thread it, that will end up being a very bad day. Don't over tighten it, let the O-ring do the work. Okay, and the last one here in front. Some silicone spray and pop it in. That's it. Now, to make sure that the O-rings that we just replaced actually works, I'm going to take out my vacuum pump and put the system into a vacuum, just to make sure that we don't have any dramatic leaks, just to, you know, double check our work before we continue. Okay, so now we've got our gauges connected again, and that yellow line is connected to our vacuum pump. So let's switch it on, open up these valves on the gauge, and let's see if this thing can draw or can pull a vacuum. Let me put this thing on the stand. Okay, so now the valves to our gauges are open. That will connect these lines to this line going to the vacuum pump. Let's run this thing for a while and see if we can, first of all, pull a vacuum and then close up these valves and see if we can maintain that vacuum. Okay, so if you look at that needle on the left hand side carefully, you'll see it's pegged right at the bottom. So let's give this thing 20-30 minutes or so, then we come back and check it and see if that needle moved. That way we know, okay, we don't have a leak. Right, after about 20 minutes we can see those needles didn't move. We've got a nice vacuum on there, so I think it's safe to say that we can carry on. Okay, so the next two O-rings that we want to replace is right in there and there where my fingers are pointing. Now it's going to be a bit difficult to film this, so I'm just going to skip ahead, get those two lines loose and see what we've got going on there. Those two are the O-rings that's going to get the most heat because it's right against the engine on the compressor, so I've got a feeling those two won't look too nice. Let's get it. Okay, so we've got the two lines coming straight off the compressor, and ladies and gents, I think we've found our culprit. This O-ring is flat and it really doesn't look so lucky. So let's put a new one on here. This is the other one, same size as the others that we've just done, so we'll replace that one as well, and then we can proceed to the last two right here at the back, but I'll show you when we get there. Okay, so this thinner one, that one on there, get some silicone spray, and let's put it back in its place. There we go. Get the bolt back in. Oh. Now all of these bolts that we've got an O-ring in here must be torqued to 20 Newton meters. And let's torque this thing to 20 Newton meters. There we go. Okay, let's see what size we need to get on there. But these O-rings are tough, man. Okay, that thing is there. And then I saw we lost our little yellow cup. So, got it. Just clean it with some brake cleaner quickly, because we don't want any dirt in this system. Get this thing nice and clean. Back on there. Give it some silicone spray. And now let's hope and pray we can get this thicker O-ring back in there. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a problem. I'll make a plan to get that. Okay, so after a bit of back and forth with O-rings on that bigger one, we've got everything back connected. So let's quickly run a vacuum test again before we move on to the last two. Okay, so let's check if it holds that vacuum. Okay, let's give it about 15 to 20 minutes and we'll check back in. Alright, so after about 20 minutes, we're still looking good. So we know those two connections aren't leaking. Let's carry on to the last two. Okay, let's get to those last two lines. Let's check what size we need for this one. Okay, same as all the other small ones. Let's get that on there. Silicone spray. And while this one is out of the way, let's quickly pop off that other line. Okay, on there, silicone spray, and let's go back with this one. Now let's run that vacuum pump again, check for vacuum leaks, and then we can carry on. Okay, we've got a vacuum pulled. We're closing the valves here, and I'm just going to leave it for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm just going to run this vacuum for about 5 minutes or so, just to check that it holds, or leave it like this for 5 minutes or so and check that the vacuum holds, and then I'll start up the vacuum pump again, run it for about an hour or so, just to make sure that all the moisture or anything basically that could have gotten into the system while we had it apart gets pulled out. We need this thing as clean as possible inside, otherwise the tubes can get clogged and it's a whole nightmare. So I'm gonna leave it to run for 30 minutes after we checked that this thing still holds its vacuum, and yeah, I'll check in with you then. Okay, so we had the vacuum pump running for about an hour and a half now. There's a good vacuum pulled on the system. It's been sitting for a bit just to make sure that we're not leaking, and it's still got perfect vacuum on there. So our next step will be to gas the system. R134A gas is what this aircon requires, so let's get to it. Okay, so the first step will be to disconnect this yellow line from the vacuum pump, connect it up to our gas bottle, and then before we open the gas, give it a lekker shake just to mix everything nicely, and then we'll open up the cylinder. 134A, we want to put that bottle upside down and we can start filling. Now, a very important step before we start filling with gas is to get all the air that's in this yellow line out. Remember, we disconnected it from the vacuum pump now and connected it to the gas, so there is air in this line and in this chamber here. So what we do, we will remove this little cap and just press this valve to let out all the air. There you can see the gas is coming through now. You'll also see this little window. There's a little bit of liquid gas right in there. Close the cap, and then we can open up this bottle for an initial fill. I usually just let it run a bit. Now let's start the engine, let the compressor kick in, and then according to that we'll set the pressure. Okay, we can see the compressor kicked in now. Let's have this thing circulate a bit and then we'll check the pressures again. If you guys are wondering why I have this equipment, I've got a little bit of background in the HVAC industry. If you guys would like me to make a video showing how to read these gauges and perhaps explain a bit more about how an AC system works, give the video a like and leave a comment in the comment section. Okay, I think we are looking good. Let me go and show you what's going on. Remember earlier we had a 26 point something degrees. This is where we are now. If we increase the revs slightly to where you'll usually be driving, say 2000 revs, that temperature still goes down 8 degrees, 7.8, 7.7, 7.6. That's perfect. Okay, so I'll get the old people to keep an eye on the temperatures in the car and give me some feedback in a week or so, that we know whether this fix of ours worked or not. But from what I can see so far, I think we are looking good. Okay, so I'm quite happy with what we are seeing there right now, so let's get this stuff disconnected. Make sure both valves are closed. Let's close these valves. Okay, remember these pipes are still under pressure, so your low pressure hose, not too bad. This one, it will let you know it's not happy to be disconnected like this. Okay, maybe not today. Let's put these caps back. Guys, remember to put back these caps. They've got a little rubber O-ring inside, which is just a little bit of extra, you know, protection to keep any gas from leaking in there. Okay, let's close the bottle. Now there's still a bit of pressure in this hoses because that valve is closed. It's keeping pressure in these lines, so just keep that in mind. Okay, that's the pressure from the bottle. And now just to show you the difference between the low and the high pressure line. That's what's in the low pressure line. That's what's in the high pressure line. So this is done. Let's put back together this bar quickly. I resprayed this car about a year ago. Now I didn't do the final cut and polish of this paint job, so if you'd like to see a video on that, let me know in the comments. And yeah, there's few finishing touches that we still need to do. So let me know. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you've got questions, post them down below. Please like, share, subscribe, and see you next time. Cheers.